Hey, Seth David here from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. This time we're talking about how to add an inventory part in QuickBooks Online. Let's get right down to business. Take a look at my screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if you're running any kind of product-based business, it could be an e-commerce business, it might be a retail, it might be a bit of both, you're going to want to, and especially if you're using QuickBooks Online, you're going to want to learn how to set up an inventory part in QuickBooks Online. There's a few important things to note about how to do this, how to get this set up. So the first thing you're going to do is go to Sales, and right here to where it says Products and Services. Okay, next you're going to click right here where it says New. And you may get to this point and find that you don't have this option for an inventory part. Not to worry, that means you haven't turned that feature on in QuickBooks Online. It is not on by default. So let's click back out of there, click on the gear icon. We'll go to Account and Settings, and we'll go to Sales, okay? And over here under Products and Services, you can click anywhere in this area to light it up and make changes. And here yours will have been turned off. You'll obviously just click here to turn it on, click Save, and click Done. And now you'll be off and running and able to click New and Inventory Part. So there's a couple of key things I want to make sure you understand about right here at this point. There's a few important things to note. First of all, obviously we want to name it. But in terms of the name, I want you to think in terms of how many different variations on this might you need to include. In other words, if you sell socks, you don't want to just have a product called socks because you probably sell them in different sizes and colors and styles, right? So you want to think about that kind of information. And the general rule is if it needs its own inventory tracking, then it needs to be its own product or inventory part in QuickBooks Online. So I'm just going to keep it simple and call this socks with holes. Okay, that's my product. Now then you have the SKU. Really, really important that your SKU have at least 3 letters. Oftentimes it's just the first letter of each name in the product name. The reason it needs to have at least 3 letters, and it can have more, is eventually you're going to want to add on some application to manage your inventory and or your sales channels, and you're going to want to map this product and service list to that application. And when you're trying to map things, a SKU is a great way to do it. Again, it should be unique for each, SKU stands for stock keeping unit. So each SKU or SKU or stock keeping unit should be very unique in terms of each one being a thing that needs its own inventory quantity tracked, right? The reason for the minimum of 3 letters is when you're doing the mapping in any of these applications, you're going to start typing that SKU, and a SKU is a great way to map it, by the way, as opposed to the title, which can actually get messy. But it will need at least 3 letters to find it in a list. That's very common with a lot of applications out there. You definitely, if you have lots of different types of products that you sell, then you'll want to use categories and create categories to group products that are of a certain type. You can assign classes. The initial quantity on hand, always put 0. I don't care if you have an initial quantity. It's tempting, of course, to put that in here right now. Don't. It's not the right way to, I shouldn't say it's not the right way. It'll work, but I personally, my opinion, I think it's messy when you do it this way. You're better off recording bills for the purchase of that inventory and getting it in that way. Over here, the as of date. All I can tell you on this is go back as far as reasonably possible and backdate this, because once you set this date, if you try to record a transaction for this product prior to that date, it won't let you. It's just a sticking point, and so I would definitely, do what I'm suggesting here, which is backdate this as far as you can. And then in the write-up, I explained right at the beginning that there's 3 different accounts that have to be involved when you have an inventory part or a product, right? There is the inventory asset. This is where it goes when you purchase the inventory. So if you enter a bill or create an expense in QuickBooks Online to purchase 100 units of something, and you use this product or service in that purchase transaction, it's going to add the value of those items and the quantity for tracking purposes into the inventory asset account. Okay, that's all that happens when you purchase the inventory. Then when you sell some of it, or maybe all of it, that's when the magic happens, and you'll need 2 other accounts for that stage of the revenue cycle. The first is the income account. which account are we going to have the income earned from selling those products on our profit and loss. The generic one here is sales of product income. If you have a very basic product that you sell, that might work, but generally speaking, if you have a range of products, then you're probably going to want to create specific income account categories to maybe similar to what you might do in the categories up here to describe the different general types of products that you sell. So if I sell socks and I also sell jeans, then I probably would want to have different income accounts for each of those broad categories of products I sell. And then you have the expense account, which is, again, when I sell it, it's going to come out of inventory at cost, and it's going to go into cost of goods sold at cost. And whatever I sell it for is what goes into the income account. And of course, the difference between what I sold it for and what went into cost of goods sold is my gross profit on that sale. So it's all built into the setup of the product right here at this screen. And you can certainly fill in descriptions and anything else you want to. If you want to put in a standard price or rate for that product, you can. I generally leave these blank because whether I'm selling it in bulk or whatever the reason, there might be different prices that it's sold at. And I'd rather have this come up blank in the invoice or sales receipt form so that it kind of forces me to look at that and remember, oh, I need to put the right price or rate in. Plus, if you're selling your products online, and as I mentioned earlier, there's going to be some app, that app's going to pull in what it sold for based on what it's sold for through that sales channel. And so you're not going to want something like this to interfere with what that app is trying to do. But that's basically it, folks. That is how you add inventory parts in QuickBooks Online. Of course, just repeat this process as many times as you need to in order to get all of your products in. And if you do have a long list, there is an import option here. QuickBooks will walk you through it, and you can download a sample file here that will show you and make it really easy for you in terms of how to map the different columns so that you can get the import done. And this is a great way, as I said, if you have a lot of products to get in here at once, to get it done very quickly. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. As always, I hope you learned something here, had some fun along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.